Let's start this session. With the development of Kubernetes, security has become more and more important. In this upcoming session, Mr. Cote will discuss how to safeguard our Kubernetes cluster using powerful tools. Let's give a warm welcome to Mr. Cote.
Everybody can hear me, right? Yes, loud and clear. So yeah, before I start this presentation, right, I may need one volunteer who knows, traditional Chinese. Who can be? Can be you? Yeah. So can you read it for me?
Yeah, okay. 大家下午好。
What does it mean?
So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cote. 我的名字是 Cote. And let us to protect Kubernetes.
Okay.
让我
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. So that makes some sense, right? So this is what we are here for, right? So today, I'll just go back one slide. So let strengthen, Kubernetes cluster with Minesweeper. What Minesweeper and all, we'll get to know in some time. But first, let's understand. I'll give you a brief intro about me. Myself is Koteswara Rao Vellanki. I'm working as a DevOps engineer for Adobe. You can see me, and you can that is my photo. Okay. So if you want, you can check me on LinkedIn. I'll be very active in LinkedIn. And I'm also started one YouTube channel called NoMem, and that is the link. So you can write a mail to me anytime on this mail. So these are my contact details. So let's get into the agenda, right? A simple agenda of connecting three dots. Like many of you heard about the Steve Jobs presentation of connecting three dots, right? So I'm pretty much fan of Steve Jobs, and I try to make something similar to that. So three stories of COSCUP, KCD Taiwan, and my journey to Taiwan. So let's just understand, right? So when you first time when I heard about COSCUP, like when I got to know about this open source group of users and community, I wanted to present something related to open source. So that is what I'm going to do today, a open source project. Then comes, right, so what I need to present, that brings my second question. Like there are a lot of things are open source, like which I need to present. So then going forward, I got to know it's a part, KCD Taiwan is part of this particular event. And when you say KCD, so we can present something related to Kubernetes. So half of my problem got solved there. So I got an open source project, and I got the Kubernetes to present in KCD. So next comes my journey to Taiwan. So it will be kind of detailed. I'll go through them, step by step. So throughout my journey, what has happened. And before that, right, let's just understand, before we get into more technical, I made this in a beginner friendly presentation. There won't be lot of architecture diagrams that are traditional presentations you see. There won't be not complex architectures and the stuff. It will be plain, and try to get as much as possible, right? So after that, we have a surprise. So I'll reveal it later if you are not sleeping by that time. Okay, and a final goodbye, right? So security. So lot of when you say security, I attended lot of conferences, right? Whenever the security talk is happening, I see more than 40 plus age people are speaking, because they are very have seen lot of things in their career, and lot of things they implemented lot of things, and they have experienced a lot of things, and somehow we youngsters feel like, okay, security is for elder people, right? So I just wanted to understand the basics of security, but what is exactly is that really that crucial? So let's try to understand in terms of Kubernetes, right? So when we say security, we have lot of problems, right? How many of you Google search on a day-to-day job? Google search, I'm not sure. Okay, I see only on hand. You may have different browsers, but So when I start my journey towards this understanding security problems in related to Kubernetes, I came across these many problems, right? It's not a simple solution, right? Okay, I have a security issue, I have one solution. It's not like that. So then I got to know about, let's understand the problems first, then we can somehow simulate the solution later. So these are my problems, right? Approximately 60% of Kubernetes security incidents which are happening are just because of the misconfigured deployments. So whatever the YAML you write, right, if you are much conscious when writing YAML, you could get over with 60% of the security issues. And then more than 70% of container images which are running, whether it can be a Docker image, just will pull directly just with one command, Docker pull or something. But when you're pulling that images, those are having 70% of vulnerabilities. So similarly, you have less than whatever the clusters which are out there, less than 30% of the clusters are following CAS benchmarks. So CAS is an independent organization just like COSCUP. So they do create some benchmarks. Hey, if you want to create one cluster in AWS, you need to have these many rules. If you are running one cluster in Azure, you need to follow these kind of rules, right? So those kind of benchmarks, if you are following by less than 30% of the clusters which are out there. So this is crucial, right? Like this, I can go and dig into it, and I just highlighted few. You might have across a lot of other problems, right? So the problems list is going on. Somewhere, somehow, I need to cut it off for the presentation because I have 30 minutes of time. So I cut it off till now. So now the problem is clear, right? Everybody agree that we have a serious problem with securing our cluster. So will everybody agree on that? Or still somebody is sleeping? Okay, everybody agree, right? So security is critical. That's what I wanted to put it here. Okay, now we understand security is important, we know the problems, and now what is the solution, right? So when I started preparing the solutions, I came across these articles which are, again, you can navigate to any of those links. So I came across these things, right? So some of the articles are published by Red Hat, the chief.io, K21. So lot of again I ran into the same problem. When I prepare problems, how I'm getting lot of lists. When I started preparing the solution also, I'm getting lot of this. Then again I need to cut it off for 30 minutes, and I could little resources I can search for many, right? And the conclusion I got here is like these tools are pretty much well versed and very much accepted by open source community. So what are these tools? We'll dive into deep in some time, right? To give you the overview, these are the things we got. Okay, Gatekeeper, Archive, like policy agents, KubeSec, Kube-Hunter, Kube-bench, Falco, Trivy. So all these things. Then I stopped about thinking about security. Can I tell you why? So I'm a DevOps engineer. I'll have like a minimum 10 tools in my bucket. So every time when I wanted to do one task in my organization, like I need to have a Git, Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes, this cloud, that cloud. So I need to deal with lot of things, right? Again, when I start thinking about security, I'm getting these many tools. This is terrible, right? Like how on earth one individual have these many tools manage it, right? So I thought it will be difficult. Let's stop it here and then try to do something with what we learned till now, right? So that comes the thing. Okay, so like I said, my journey to Taiwan, right? We saw these tools, right? These 6 popular tools, and I'll try to link with my journey to Taiwan from India. Okay, let's just understand these tools in that analogy. Okay, so before that, right, we'll start with Gatekeeper. So Gatekeeper is something. Okay, everybody can hear me, right? So that is not deviating. So that will help if I'm diverting from the topic. Okay, let's make sure which topic are we in. I need to hear from the audience which topic we are discussing now. security. I thought you'll say gatekeeper. That will be more relevant, right? We can see it on screen. Okay. So let's try to understand this gatekeeper, right? So gatekeeper is okay. Before that, I have one more question for you. Like, how many of you traveled abroad at least once in their life? Any country? Okay. 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 So if you are not traveled abroad, you will learn two things today. One is the securing Kubernetes cluster, and then you'll try to. You will learn one more process too if you are not traveling to another country. So one thing is mandatory, right? When you're traveling, when I started my journey from India to Taiwan, the first thing I need to have is visa, right? Taiwan need to give me a permission to enter Taiwan. To present is this. So that permission will call it as visa, and gatekeeper also do the same. Whenever you want to create one resource in your cluster, gatekeeper will stop you. Hey, do you have a visa? Do you have the permission to create a resource? We'll call it technically as a admission control. So whenever you want to create a pod, resource deployment, whatever, you name it, you have it. But if you want to have it, you need to have a permission from your gatekeeper. So there are a lot of tools. I just mentioned Kaiwan, which is excessively using by the community, and Gatekeeper, OPA, Gatekeeper also one of them. Both are CNCF incubated projects. You can check them out. So that is the first thing I want, right? So this will solve most of the problem we talked about, right? Deployments manner. Okay. So now, when I got the visa, right? So visa is like broader view. But before I need to enter into another country, name it as Taiwan or any other country, I need a passport. Every country will have a passport, right? That everybody is aware, right? Everybody will need to have a passport if you want to travel abroad. Okay. So similarly, KubeSec also has the same, right? When you say passport, it will have a set of rules come with it, right? Based on your country, and it will have different collaborations with other country. They'll have some will have e-visa, some will have physical visa. So something like that. KubeSec is kind of rule book, right? So when I say rule book, when you give your deployment.ml or pod.ml any sort of resource to KubeSec, it will scan that YAML and will give you the score. Okay, you wanted to create a sample Nginx pod, so and you are using these so and so image. This has these many criticals. Based on that, it will give you a score of 10. So if your score is high, then you are good to go. If your score is low, like 1 or 2 out of 10, it will tell you to, hey, don't proceed with that because it is critical, right? It is having vulnerabilities, and the score is given a low, so it is not good to proceed further, right? Similarly, so now these are some technical details. I'll share the presentation later. So now we got this visa, passport, and that's all. Right now, when I have a safe and memorable journey in Taiwan, I need to have a travel guide, right? Who can assist you? Just like as soon as we enter Taiwan, right? We are getting these metro maps everywhere. So like, how can you go from one place to another? So like that one travel guide, if you have, it will be very much easy to commute and travel, right? Similarly, Kube-Hunter. So Kube-Hunter is set of tool. It will have lot of information, right? It will do some scans in throughout your cluster by time to time, and it will give you information. Hey, if you want to go this way, this is the right way, right? Just like your roadmap or travel guide, it will keep on pushing you information, right? So that is why this is one of the critical tool. What to just give you a note, whatever the tools I'm mentioning, right? These are all open source. You can pull it anytime and you can make use of them anytime, right? So now we have the I have the clear picture, right? Now we have the clear picture of like what I need to do. Like I have passport, visa, and I have a travel guide, everything. But before that, I need to make sure that I have a valid checklist, like what to do. So when is the conference? So conference is happening on 29 and 30. So 2 days conference is going on. So what are the schedules? and which schedule I need to attend. Now we are seeing, right, people are shuffling from this room to that room to, going to goodies, food and stuff. So now I need to have kind of checklist that I need to follow, right? Kube-bench also the same. So if you remember when we started discussion, like we said, less than 30% of the clusters which are running are following the CS benchmarks. Kube-bench will give you that sort of result. Like when you scan your cluster using Kube-bench, it will give you, saying that, okay, this is the recommendation for creating a pod. This is the recommendation creating a deployment. If you are not following, then you will run into an issue. So that kind of warnings will be given through Kube-bench. Okay. So next comes the Falco. Falco is some sort of, like, how many of you married? I just wanted to know. There is some, okay. Some people married but don't wanted to disclose. Okay, that is fine. How many of your boyfriends or girlfriends? That is again, this is a sensitive question, is it? Okay. So the reason I asked you is like, Falco is kind of a tool because if you have a boyfriend, he's kind of boyfriend. If you have a girlfriend, he's kind of girlfriend. If you are married, it will be a wife or husband. Why? I'll tell you. So it is having a watchful eye each and every minute, right? When your cluster, something is happening. One resource getting created, one resource getting deleted, something or the other thing happening, right? When you are in relation or something like that, your families, for example, for that matter, if you're a mother or father, you'll just inform, right? Okay, I'm going there, I'm coming here. So it's kind of that closer look it will have on a cluster, and it will notice everything. Everything means literally everything it will watch, and you will get the updates and give you insights based on that. Okay, for this day, this moment, this thing was happened. Later on time, if you want to review what will happen, it will give you a detailed list. So that is what Falco will do. Okay, so now finally we have one more tool in that list which we have seen called Trivy. Trivy is kind of, if you remember again, if I go to the problem statement, so more than 70% of the images which are running have at least one vulnerability we are telling. How do you come out of it? So we have a Trivy here. Trivy kind of, health inspector. So due to COVID, this pandemic and all, we had lot of struggles, right? Everywhere we saw, now in this room also today we are seeing people are wearing masks. So this is all about the health check, right? So Trivy also do the same. It will do a sanity check to the extent that your cluster is healthy all the time. Your containers doesn't have any sort of vulnerabilities, whether it is small, big. It will give you each and every vulnerability. But the highlight of this is it will give you with CVE ID. So how many of you heard about CVE? Great, Isa. So CVE is something like when you have when you know that vulnerability is there, so there will be one number for that. So and that most of the open source contributors will give you solutions for that, how to fix that vulnerability. It's kind of give you those sort of details. So now we have like got to know about 6 different problems and 6 different solutions we know, right? We everybody is clear so far? Any questions? I'll be happy to take. I'll just take a pause for 2 minutes if you have any questions, or else we can continue. Yeah, I'm watching time. Okay. Okay. Yeah, quickly. So if anybody don't have any questions, we'll move forward. So now, so far it is clear for everyone, right? 6 problems, 6 solutions, right? Now, to summarize, right, what we learned till now. So we need a gatekeeper to get a compliance, right? Everything is happening fine. And to do a secure deployments that nothing is breaking at the time of creating pod, you need KubeSec. When you want to do internal scan or IDS sort of thing, you need like a Kube-Hunter. These are our purposes, right? Now here is the surprise, right? So what is the surprise? There are no 6 tools, right? All these 6 tools which we talked about and we learned till now, all together in form of Minesweeper. So if you get Minesweeper, and you will get away with the problems till now what we have discussed. Again, as it is COSCUP, as it is KCD Taiwan, the tool I'm talking about is an open source tool. It's completely free for everyone. You can go ahead and check it out anytime, right? So let's just take a moment to explore what Minesweeper is, right? These are the standard things that you do in most of the presentations, right? This comes from this Bohem's principle called W5HH, right? So I don't have 7 questions, but I just repeat, sorted out to 5 questions. What is Minesweeper? Like I said, it's an open source tool and it will have a solution for all these 6 tools. Those 6 tools we integrated and we generated the random dashboards with reports and everything. We'll see demo in a couple of minutes. But yeah, that is what Minesweeper is. So why Minesweeper? Again, so it is giving, getting away with a lot of the security issues which we have. So when Minesweeper, so whenever, right, if you are running Kubernetes cluster and if you are now thoughtful about security, yes, you can start with Minesweeper. How you can start with Minesweeper? So Minesweeper we built in such a way that everything is a Helm chart. How many of you heard about Helm? Okay, okay. So Helm is a package manager with just one command. When you have a Kubernetes cluster ready, with one command you will get the entire thing ready. Okay, so that is what, how we built it, like using Helm we built it. How much? Like it will cost you nothing. When you are thinking about cost, it just needs your effort, not your money. Okay, because it's an open source. So finally, we'll have a quick look about demo. So I think I might need just give me a second. I think yeah, I need to move a little bit. Yeah, that side a little bit. The complete screen.
Where is it? Okay. Okay. So you need to move to another.
Sorry for the delay. Yeah, will.
Oh.
I think we can use mouse.
This one, right?
Yeah,
Okay. It's,
I'll take over. Yeah.
okay. Really okay.
Thank you. No, it's already.
Yeah, it's already a. Do you want to start?
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me try. Okay.
Need to start from the beginning.
Yes. Okay.
So,
Video.
how can I start? Yeah. So yeah, sorry for that. So as in we talked about Minesweeper, right? Let's see it in action, right? As soon as due to this technical glitches on the Wi-Fi and all, so I thought audience don't wanted to miss this experience, so I created a video on this same. So as soon as you log in, right, this kind of interface you will get. Once you have this interface, right, you can create multiple clusters. So when you on clicking on add cluster, and when for this demo I created a cluster called Minesweeper Dev. So it's a basically Dev cluster. So in that I can have whatever the clusters, right, in this environment. Okay, and apart from that, it will give you dashboards of complaint summary, scans history, and what are the historical report of the vulnerabilities, everything. So then comes, as soon as when you click on that Minesweeper dev, right? So it will these are specific to this particular cluster. So it has all the options which we had talked about. So summary is the overall summary about what are the images running and what are the vulnerabilities within the image and the stuff. So then comes the cluster info. So in cluster info you'll have what are the cluster details, everything will have, and images will have like detailed scanning of the image, like what are the vulnerabilities and where it is sitting and all. So next comes the gatekeeper we talked about, right? So a gatekeeper is something okay, so here, so you can workloads, right? Workloads is something like again the images based on the namespaces. So you can select different namespaces, and then in that we'll have a different parts. So gatekeeper, like we talked about, right? If you want to put some restriction on that, whenever I want to create a resource in Kubernetes cluster, and for example a pod which needs label, if you see down, right? So that is what I'm talking. When I say creates required labels, right? When I try to create a pod without specifying the label, it won't create, because I put that restriction, right? So that is what it will validate, and it will stop me there. Hey, you didn't provide any labels. So that is how we secure. And KubeSec we talked about it. You can give an AML directly, and you and you can scan and get the reports. Or if you are already images running, you can select based on the namespace, right? And you can get the pod, and you can run this KubeSec for the validity, and it will give you the score. Okay, for this configuration, what is the score I am getting? So for now I am getting 7, which is a good score out of 10, right? So similarly, we have a Kube-Hunter. Kube-Hunter also, again, like we said, right? It's like vulnerability assessment within the cluster. So it will create vulnerability scan, and it will generate the reports for you. So next comes the Kube-bench. Kube-bench we talked, right? It's basically CAS benchmarks thing. It will compare your cluster configuration with Kube-bench, and it will give you the recommendations, like what best you can do with your current configuration. So then comes the Falco, a wife or boyfriend or girlfriend sort of stuff, right? It will notice each and everything which is happening. So you can filter based on the error notice, like you want only errors, you want to notice everything. So those kind of things you can manage using that, right? So next comes the interesting part of reports, right? Whatever we saw individual tool level, if you want to get a nicer view in terms of graphs and charts, so you can get everything in this report. So how do you want to filter your errors based on what are the running vulnerabilities. So that is the thing about Minesweeper. So finally, I just okay, I'll come back to my presentation. Yeah, I might need help. So just pull it now. No, it is not coming. Okay, I'll try to. Yeah. Okay, so. Yeah. So yeah. So that is fine. Everybody able to see, right? Yeah. Okay, so finally I just wanted to give some sort of recommendation. So I'll take 2 minutes extra because of the technical glitches we have, but so these are the generic practices like I figured out, and based on the study which we have done, right? So whenever you want to secure your Kubernetes or any for that matter, if you want to secure anything, right, it's a shared responsibility between developers and operations, everything. when developers say like something buggy with your code, as a DevOps engineer, I am not dealing with that. That won't work, because at the end it's an organization that is taking the care of everything, right? It's a shared responsibility, and yeah, you never expose your Kubernetes API to outside world. That is a basic recommendation which we follow. And like, let me simplify, right? These are the basic things. So like, use tool called Minesweeper. It's not only Minesweeper, use managed tools that will make your life much easier. I agree that you'll have a limited control on the customization, but when you find some tool, make use of it. It will make real sense. And the references, like if you want to check it out, Minesweeper, those are the website, and we have a GitHub repo, and I have wrote clear documentation on how to install, set up everything. And if you just visit that, you will get a detailed insight. And the slide deck which we saw right now will be there in that link. And if you want to try Minesweeper by your own and your environment, so you can get those get started document there. Okay. So at the core team behind Minesweeper, like these are the two co-founders of this open source project. They wanted, they are dealing with multiple clients, and they wanted it to be very efficient. Later they open sourced it because they wanted it to use by a lot of other users like you and me, right? So that's why it's open source. And yeah, I'm open for questions now.
Because so I explain to. Okay, so let's thank you, Cody, bring our this wonderful session. And if you have any question, please feel free to contact Cody. Yeah, later. Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay.
So I have brought like I'm here for the discussion and all. The best 3 questions I get today will get 3 T-shirts from me.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah, please start asking question later. Okay, and the next session will start by 2:15. Yeah, thank you.